Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the static part of economics and we have covered till consumer behavior. Okay, so in this lecture we are going to cover some more topics as well. Okay, so let's start this lecture. So in today's lectures, first we are going to start with the law of demand. Okay, so far we have completed the understanding of demand. What do you mean by demand? So basically we can say a willingness of a person or household to buy a certain quantity at a certain rate during a well defined time period. Okay, so that is the meaning of demand, a willingness of a person or a household to buy a certain quantity at a certain rate during a well defined time period. Okay, that's what we have learned so far. So we can say, like, if there is a person who wants to buy 10 chocolates and willing to offer rupees 5 each, then he is willing to spend total rupees 50. Okay, so this is the demand, like there is a certain quantity, certain price, and during a certain time period, maybe monthly, weekly, annually. Okay, on during a certain time period, if he wants to buy a certain quantity at certain price, then it is a demand. So the next question which should arise in our mind is that what is a law of demand? Is there any law which is governing the demand? So the answer is yes. And in the simple format, I can say you price goes up, demand goes down. That's the basic thing I can tell you. Okay, but in laws of demand, we are going to understand it in detail form. Okay, so basically, let's start. The law of demand is a fundamental principle in economics, describes the relationship between the price of a good or services and the quantity demanded by consumers. Okay, so basically, you can say it determines the increase or decrease in a price of a commodity, and due to this the increase or decrease in quantity of a commodity. All right, so this thing is being described in demand. Got it? So always remember that there is an inverse relationship between demanded quantity and price. So there is always a inverse relationship between the demanded quantity and price. If the prices goes up, the demand will goes down, and if the prices goes down, the demand will goes up. And even we can say this relationship because of the demand curve. We can say it because of the demand curve also. Okay. If we looked at the demand curve, then it is basically downward sloping. So it is a price of commodity and it is a quantity demanded. So as you can see, as the price goes up, the demand quantities goes down. Okay, if the prices goes up, the quantity demanding is goes down. So there is always a inverse relationship. Inverse relationship between price of the commodity and the quantity demanded of the commodity. All right. Now let's move forward. It states that all else being equal, the price of a product or service decreases, quantity demanded for that product or service increases, and conversely, as the price of product or service increases, quantity demanded decreases. So if we talk about the first line, that all other things are equal, like the income does not change, the preference does not change, okay, and similarly the other factors which are useful in demand or in the consumer behavior basically does not change, just only there is a change in price of a commodity. Okay, so basically you can say the law of demand deals with the change in price of a commodity, and because of this the occurring change of quantity demanded. Okay, so the first factor of the law of demand is price of the product. Okay, so it is the most significant factor affecting demand is the price of the product itself. When the price of the product falls, consumers typically buy more of it because it becomes more affordable. Conversely, when the price rises, consumer tend to buy less. Just suppose if this is a person who is buying rupees 10 chocolate A. Suddenly, the price of A is rises by rupees 5. So what is the new price now? Rupees 15. So this person was willing to buy A on rupees 10, but when the price is rupees 15, will he buy it as per the law of demand? Maybe or maybe not. As per the law of demand, maybe or maybe not. Okay, but when we talk about more significantly, then just the quantity will change. Just the quantity will change. Okay, so we could understand it by the example also. Like if he is spending rupees 5 on 10 chocolates. Okay, so he was paying rupees 50. He was paying rupees 50. Okay, but when the price high and the quantity is still 10, then what he have to do? He have to do expenditure of rupees 100, which he can't because he can only afford 50 rupees expenditure. So what he will do? In case of increasement of price, he will decrease the quantity. Okay, so again 10 into 5, the final price which he has spent is 50. Alright, so in the first case the quantity is 10, rupees is 5, final price is rupees 50. In the second case, when the price increases, then quantities decreases and again the final price is rupees 50. In the second case, suppose when the rupees 10 was the price, then he was purchasing 5 items for rupees 50. In the second case, when prices become 5, then he could purchase 10. Again the final price is 50. So in this case, in less price he is buying more items, but in this case, in more price he is buying less item. Got it? Now let's move forward. Now we have consumers' income. Changes in consumer income can affect demand. For normal goods, an increase in consumer income tends to lead an increase in demand because consumers can afford to buy more. For inferior goods, an increase in income may lead to a decrease in demand. So basically we could say Like X is a normal good. X is a normal goods. Okay. When you having income rupees 50, you can only buy A and B, 25 and 25. These are the normal goods. But when your income rises to rupees 100, now you can buy 4 items, A, B, C and D, 25, 25, 25 and 25. Alright. So here we have seen during normal goods, when the income rises, the demand rises. But what about the inferior goods? So basically you can say inferior goods are below goods, or you can say below to normal standards. Okay, so those goods who are even below the normal standards are called as inferior goods. Okay, so when the person having income 50, so he is buying A for rupees 50 or 25, you can say. Okay, but when his income is rises, then he can buy A, B, C and D, 4 items. Okay, so in this scenario what he will do, he will go for the normal goods and superior goods, because now he could purchase more. So basically you can say in case of the normal goods, rise in income leads to rise of demand, decline in income leads to decline in demand. In case of inferior goods, rise in income results in decline of demand, decline in income results in increase in demand. So just make this flowchart. I am providing you 10 seconds. Okay, so your time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now move forward. Now we have price of related goods. Remember, I have told you about related goods in the previous lectures. Goods which are somewhat related with each other. So those goods which are somehow related with each other comes under the category of related goods, and they could be substitute or complementary. So first we will start with the substitute goods. Goods are products that can replace each other. An increase in the price of one substitute goods often leads to increase in demand for the other. So basically we can say substitute goods are goods that can be replaced with each other. So those goods which could be replaced with each other is the example of substitute goods. And the same thing which is written down here is that if the price of one good increases, the demand of another increases. So let's take an example of coffee and tea. So coffee and tea could be replaced or substituted with each other. Okay, if you are a person who only prefer one of them in any circumstances, then I can't say. But in normal circumstances, coffee and tea could be replaced. Okay, so suppose if the price of coffee goes high, then what will happen? People will start shifting to the tea. So the demand of tea will goes high. Alright, so this is the effect on substitute goods. If the price of one good goes high, then the demand of other goods will goes high, because the people will started shifting to the another one which having low price and which could be fitted in their budget. All right. Thereafter, now we have the complementary goods. Now we have the complementary goods. Those goods which could be used together only. Those goods which could be used together only are the complementary goods. In the previous lecture, I have given example of car and fuel. Car and fuel. Because in this case, if price of one good falls down, demand of another one will rise. Similarly, if price of one goods goes rise, demand of another goods falls. Okay, so this is the scenario in this case. So if we looked at the example which I have provided you, so suppose if you are planning to buy a car, but suddenly the fuel prices are rising, then what will happen? You will cancel your plan to buy a car because you are not able to feed fuel in it. Okay, so what will happen? Because of the rise in prices of one commodity, the demand of another will goes down. Okay, similarly, if you are not even planning to buy a car, but suddenly the fuel prices are coming down, then what you will think? Okay, now the fuel price is coming down, should I buy a car? And definitely, and not definitely, but there are chances that you will buy a car. Okay, so you can say because the prices of one commodity goes down, so that's why the demand of another commodity goes up. So it is the case of complementary goods. So remember, in substitute goods, when the prices of one commodity goes house, the demand of another goes high. But in complementary goods, when the price of one commodity goes high, the demand of another commodity goes down. All right. Thereafter, fourth is customer tastes and preference. Okay. Basically, consumer preference influenced by factors such as advertising, changing trends and cultural shifts, as I have told you in the previous lecture. Like there are various market drinks available in the market, and all having different type of categories, benefits and disadvantages, but there is a person who has the perception in his mind that A is far superior than BCD, whether it's or it's not. But because of the taste and the preferences of the person who is willing to pay the amount for it, the demand of A will be rises. Okay, so that's how the tastes and preferences of the customers leads to the increase in demand or decrease in demand. All right. Thereafter, the population and demographics. Okay, so if the population goes high, demand will automatically goes high. If the population goes down, demand will automatically goes down. Okay, and if we talk about the demographics, so we could say like there is a company XYZ which is maintaining toys and child things. Okay, then there is a population of 100 people, out of which nearly about 60 are children's. Okay, and in the same scenario, if there is a population of 100 but only 30 are children, so what do you think? The XYZ will have more demand in 60 population rather than in 30 population. Okay, so that's how the demographics affects the demand. Okay, the more number of people for your segment, in the previous lecture I had told you about the consumer segmentation. Okay, so the more number of people of your segment in the population will leads to the more demand. Similarly, the less number will leads to the less demand. Okay, as like the population, if the population of 100 people, demand will be for 100 people. If the population is for the 50 people, demand will only for the 50 people. All right. Thereafter, consumers expectations. Basically, it is depend upon future predictions. Future predictions. Just suppose if there is a person who is going to buy a car, and now the car is costing about 18 lakhs. But there are two scenarios: rise in price, fall in price. Okay, so let's take the first scenario. In first scenario, if currently the car is about 18 lakhs, but after some time the car will cost around rupees 25 lakhs. So it is far better to buy car now than buying it in future, because in future the prices is rising. Okay, so what will happen? The current demand of car will goes high. Okay, so it is a case of rise in future. Now just take a case of fall in future. Okay, so currently if car is 18 lakhs worth, but it is expected that after some time it will only cost around 12 lakhs, then what will happen? Instead of buying it now, the customer will preference to buy it in future. So in this scenario, the current demand of the car will goes down. All right, so it is the case of consumer expectations. Got it? Thereafter, the government policies. The government policies of taxes and subsidies and regulations can influence the demand, because they directly affect the production cost, income of customer, and final price to be paid. So just take example of production cost. Like if the government has implemented more taxes on the raw material, then what will happen? The raw material will cost high, and when the material cost high, the production cost will increase, and when it increase, its price will also increase. And as we have learned in this section, as the price increases, demand decreases. Now take the second case. If the government has removed various taxes or provided various subsidies to the producers on raw material, then the production price will goes down, and when the price goes down, the demand goes up. Okay, second condition is for the income of consumer. Like if government has imposed more income tax, okay, then suppose person was earning rupees 10,000 per month. Okay, but after the new taxes he is only able to get 8,000 per month. So what will happen? His income is reduced, and when the income is reduced, the demand will goes down, because he cannot afford buying too many things. But in the second case, if he was earning 8,000, but due to relaxation on the income tax, now he is earning 10,000, then he will try to buy more things, and the demand will goes high. Okay, so it is the income of consumer. And the final price to be paid is basically the taxes, or you can say the indirect taxes. What are the indirect taxes? We will learn about them in the upcoming lectures. Till just remember, the indirect taxes are basically applicable on final purchase. Whosoever is buying the product finally will be liable to pay these taxes. Okay, so if the indirect taxes goes high, then the final price or the market price of good will goes high, so demand will goes down. Similarly, if indirect tax is lowered, then the market price will goes down and demand will goes up. All right. So students, in this lecture, we have discussed the law of demand. In our next lecture, we will try to cover some more topics. Till then, just revise all these facts and figures which we have discussed in this lecture so that you will be able to grasp more facts effectively. With this notes, let's end this session and thank you.